Welcome back. I'm with Brandon Steiner today at Steiner Sports. Welcome to today's show.
Welcome. I'm excited to be here. When you said American Dream, I felt like I had my name on it.
Well, you've done quite a bit in life, and for the listeners, I'd like to have you bring us up. Let's say since your education years to moving out into the real world and starting companies, and how you got to where you are today.
I mean, for me, it's always been the underdog. I mean, I think that's the best way to describe me. I mean, I think, I was the stupidest kid in the family. S760 on my boards combined. Went to a pass-fail high school. Had no money to go to college. Ended up going to one of the most expensive private schools in New York, Syracuse. I think it was just, it's really just about the fight. And I think that, by the way, I mean, I struggled a lot of ADHD issues, OCD issues. But I never let that stuff put me on the side. I mean, I didn't fail in school. I think school failed me. I think school really didn't recognize the grit, the fight I had in me. I've been working since I'm 10, not out of joy and love at the beginning, but we didn't have enough money. We didn't have food, so I had to work. And there is something about being hungry when you're a kid, the hunger. But I never let it get me down. I mean, I always found the excitement of trying different things. I definitely had a very imaginative mind. And for me, I think really things took off for me, I think when I was 12. I mean, I think, when I had the paper route going, I was giving circulars underneath the L, then taking those circulars, hiring kids, couldn't pay them in cash, pay them in fireworks, bottle works, just manipulating a whole bunch of things. I knew there was something a little different with me. So I understood put a lot of work into something and do quality work, get a good result. I got an accounting degree from Syracuse, which was, I'd say, virtually almost impossible for somebody like me to get. But, I found the right kids at Syracuse. They were really smart, and they took a stupid kid like me along, and they got a joy out of tutoring me and showing me how to get through. I think if you want to get through anything, you can. Just you have to kind of set your mind to it. Because I cried, Mom, I got to come home. I'm not going to get this. I can't do it. And she's like, no, you get the accounting degree, then you can come home. And then if you want to go to the culinary school, you can. So that's kind of my childhood was rough. I mean, not a lot of money, single parent, not easy. But I didn't get too down about it. I mean, I found good mentors. I found good kids to hang around. I was lucky that way. It doesn't always work that way. And my mother was extremely supportive. My second book, You Gotta Have Balls, was my mother's favorite line. And she was like, be fearless. Do things the right way. Don't be afraid to fail, and dream big, think big. Why dream small? There was nothing small the way my mother operated, and that's her message to me.
It's interesting as you outlined. Nothing was really easy, but it seems that you had, the ability within yourself to take the risk, to bet on yourself, and to move into the unknown.
I think it's essential. I mean, now listen, Steiner Sports, the company I started 30 years.
How did that get started?
I mean, $4,000. Honestly, I was supposed to be part of a group of guys I was going to be a partner. And when I showed up the first day, they basically told me they didn't have room for me in the partnership, but I could have that little office over there for $400 a month. I didn't get down about it. I figured it was a sign. I feel like there's signs in life if you actually have your eyes open to them. It was a sign that says, Brandon, you're destined to do your own thing. The $4,000 didn't go a long way. That was a Mac Plus, a printer, and a few $100 for some office supplies. But, I grinded it out. And, really my first company was marketing players, marketing athletes. That's what Steiner did. We marketed players all over the country. Back in the late 80s, there wasn't a lot of that going on. From Rick Barry to Johnny Unitas to Roger Staubach, there was nobody I wasn't marketing. And it was a retail boom. So I was doing all these grand openings all over the country with Walmarts and Caldors and Targets, and sports authorities were opening up these mega stores, and we were getting all the athletes to go and grand open them up. In the mid-90s, I went to my wife. I said, I got to take $10,000 out of the bank, because a lot of people were asking me for these autographed items, which I would bring along with the celebrity marketing, just as a leave behind for the client to use, maybe to give it to one of their kids or maybe to give to a client. And sure enough, the $10,000 was one of the better investments, because that's when we started Steiner Sports Collectibles, which is an international brand and a $50 million company. It does really well. There's a whole bunch of platforms, team partnerships, an auction platform, web platform. which really gets people closer to the game. We've developed all kinds of products from game use to autographed items. So we still book a lot of players still to this day for marketing, although a lot of people are doing that. But the collectible name has certainly been a brand that people recognize around the country.
I'm visiting here today with Brandon Steiner, Steiner Sports. I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Grandpa, can we do chemistry? Papa, Daddy. Grandpa, let's do something fun.
We'll help you stay organized so you can focus on what really matters in life. Give us a call today and see how we can help you start saving taxes. Welcome back. I'm here with Brandon Steiner, Steiner Sports. And Brandon, in the first segment, we talked about your history. You did a lot of odd jobs, went into hospitality, you know, for the first few years, and then you started Steiner Sports some 30 years ago. What was it like getting your first client? You had a desk and a computer and the monitor, but landing that first client, how did it feel?
It's funny, Alan. You know, on my blog, it's the most frequently asked question. What's it feel like? How do I get started? And where'd you fail? And to me, I was so excited. I don't know what, it was like lightning. It was just lightning. There was thunder. I just couldn't wait to go to work. And I had nothing. So what I would do is I would call as many people as I could, hope that they weren't in. This way they'd call me back and the phones would ring, at least some excitement. You'd find me very much outside of a lot of stadiums, in the parking lot, literally just trying to wait. Because, you know, you needed a guy's phone number. It wasn't like the internet or anything. If you didn't have the guy's home phone number, you didn't have anything. So it was two parts. One, you're outside in parking lots waiting for guys to come out and hoping they're going to come out. And Lawrence Taylor would always laugh because, you know, he'd see me out and it's snowing and freezing out and waiting for them to come out. And then you spend the other half of the day running around to different companies with an idea. I think the real key to getting a business started for me was coming up with ideas that made sense. Nobody's not taking your call if you have an idea that makes sense, that it either can help you save money, make you money, or help you with something that's important to you. My main focus and value proposition when I call anyone, still to this day, going way back 30 years ago and even further, is how can I help you? So I think the hospitality thing served me well. It is about serving people. And if you're really committed to that, and Alan, I know you are, so I know you understand this. You really is about serving people. The best job I ever had was bussing tables, waiting tables, serving people, because I'm still doing it. Because nobody wants to get rid of somebody that's helping them out with a problem or helping you make money, helping you save money, or can give you some influence to get you what you want. If you put out good, you're going to get back good. And if you serve, you fill yourself. If you forget yourself, you'll fill yourself.
Yeah, I love the way that you put that. If you forget yourself, you'll fill yourself. And there seems to be a trend of those successful entrepreneurs who were never doing it for the money. They were doing it to fill a gap, to solve a problem. And so when you came into your first customer, your client, you're sitting in the parking lot trying to get phone numbers, and what was the feeling that came back to you though? Do you remember who it was?
Well, first it was the fan mail. I remember I literally it's crazy when people say, how'd you get Derek Jeter? How'd you get Lawrence Taylor or these players? And they had all this fan mail, boxes of it. I said, let me help you with that. I'll open up the mail. I'll give you the important stuff. And we'll sign some pictures. We'll send it back to the fans. Now, it sounded like a trivial thing. And then also, at the time was Keith Hernandez, who just got traded to Cleveland. He was on the Mets at the time. And he had all his fan mail and also his regular mail and some of his regular stuff that he was getting in New York. Yeah, he was in Cleveland, so I was going through all that for him. Darryl Strawberry, one of my first clients. I was trying to just help market and maybe help him with some of his charity endeavors. So I just zoned in generally on the players that really needed the help. Derek Jeter didn't need Brandon Steiner when we signed him in 96, 97, but I knew his turn two was really important. And we've raised a lot of money for turn two and helped his family, Charlie and Dot and Charles, with developing the turn two with sponsors. And that was my main focus for quite a while. It wasn't like automatic, the floodgates were open and we were making money. I mean, we didn't know Derek was going to be Derek, although he looked like a pretty promising player, but it wasn't like we were going to be 20 years later ever known that was going to be. But, you know, you serve and you try to figure out how to help people with their problems. It's an easy thing to say. It's a much harder thing to do. And I think that a lot of people get confused about what they think and then what they do when it comes to having to give up your time. You know, how much would you do for someone that you knew couldn't do anything back for you? And that's a hard point and a difficult part to really get through to someone. Because, you know, am I going to do this for you, but what are you going to do back for me? And that's a real test, I think, if you're really committed, if you're out there and you're thinking about really getting yourself going, is you do need to do a bunch of things and not expect anything back, because it's just the right thing to do and it's a smart thing to do.
Since you can't take your wealth with you, spend time with your family. Welcome back and visiting today with Brandon Steiner, Steiner Sports. And Brandon, in the last segment, you talked about this service component and how that has really helped you with giving without necessarily a large expectation of getting something in return. But, you know, how difficult was that in the early years? Because I'm sure there was like a lot of hand to mouth and trying to make the bills paid and, you know.
Well, I think my mom was a great example. You know, she always, we didn't have a lot. She was always trying to help people. She never stopped helping people. It was part of her DNA. And that, you know, you pick that up as a kid. I think if you're a parent out there, you don't realize the kind of impression you can make on your kids. But it's funny, I got a job at the Hard Rock Cafe when I came back to New York after doing a stint with Hyatt, which was my dream job, frankly. And Isaac Tigert, one of the founders of the Hard Rock, this was the second Hard Rock that opened up in the States. Peter Morton in LA, Isaac Tigert in New York. And in the Hard Rock, New York, it was love all, serve all. And I ran into Isaac. I was running the place at night, and it was packed. And he said, "Yo, Brand, I'm scared. I'm scared that we're too busy. And I'm scared that we're going to disappoint people. We're not going to be able to give enough good service, and I don't worry about the success. I don't worry about how much money I made. I worry about doing the right thing." And he, you know, Sai Baba, he was a very big fan of, he had a guru, and he started sharing some of that with me, and I started to understand the spiritual part of business and the spiritual part of what needs to happen every day. It was another sign. It was a moment. Here I am grinding and working really hard, trying to develop my career, and this guy's telling me to slow it down, don't worry about the money, but worry about doing the right thing, worry about serving these people and having, you know, making sure that the experience is right. And if we make a little less money, it's okay. And I had to have a boss tell me that, by the way. And I always remembered that, the lasting impression. So I'm out online and it's cold. There's 200 people online. I'm giving people soup. It's 100 degrees outside in the summer. I'm giving people iced tea. And it is about over-delivering and being empathetic and thinking of people when you're serving them in a really authentic way. And I think that at Steiner, I really try to do that. We put extra products in the boxes. We put personal notes in there. We send people gifts without them ever expecting it. Every morning at Steiner Sports, my first thing I do is 2 acts of kindness. Been doing it for years, where I send 2 random things out, a check, a book, a note, to somebody that I know needs it. I see on the news somebody had a fire. We send them a box of stuff that they could put up in their new house, or maybe a check or whatever it is. And it's the best thing I do every day. And then about 2 hours later, the mail comes. I get 2 thank you notes. I'm a crazy collector, so I save all those notes. And it's the joy that people say, "What's your favorite collectible?" They think it's going to be a Babe Ruth or a Lou Gehrig, and those are great collectibles, but my thank you notes are.
You know, that says a lot right there. And as you've giving out a lot of service, to come back with the people expressing gratitude tells you, okay, I'm doing something right here.
I think, you know, listen, I think a lot of people, listen, did I have to go chase a Derek Jeter and a Mariano Rivera down? Yes. And you have to be fearless in that, but with the intent to help them, not with what they can give to you. And that takes a lot of thought. And it's not who you know, what you know, but what you know about who. So you've got to go do the work to find out who you're chasing, to really understand who they are and how you may be able to help them and what they need. But if you can find that, that's the beginning, I think, the start of a relationship that's going to be worth both people in acting and getting involved with. And I think that's how, I mean, you look at some of the characters that I've been able to land over the last 25, 30 years. I mean, some of the biggest names from Eli and Peyton Manning, Mark Messier, Jeter, Rivera, the Yankees, Notre Dame, the Dodgers. I mean, this is not easy, but always with the intent that I think I got a solution to some of your problems. Not, I think I can make a lot of money off you or with you. And it's not easy to keep that mindset, but I got that from my mom. And by the way, You Gotta Have Balls is not a sports book. It's everything my mother taught me, and I made a ton of money from listening to my mom. I mean, that's my advice to the people listening out there is like, listen to your mom. Like I did, and I made a fortune off it. It's not great for the ego in front of all your friends. I never really admitted that, but I took all her advice, and I made a fortune. And a fortune not only in money, but in relationships and friendships, in the charity work I do. I followed her lead, and it took me someplace really, really good.
I expect it's tough to get some of these athletes to open up, but how effective are you in terms of getting to the personal level?
I think I'm good at it. I mean, it's difficult because they have so many people coming at them, and I think you got to be able to know when to move quick and also be very patient and slow. I think consistency over time equals credibility. It's not a race, though sometimes it is, and you got to be aggressive, although sometimes you can't be. All these players are different, especially now where there's so many international players. There's a different approach with a lot of them depending where they're from. But I'm a straight shooter. I'm not afraid to tell any athlete anything, from Mickey Mantle back in the day to Alex Rodriguez to whoever it is. Hey, that's not going to fly. That's not going to work. And maybe you want to keep doing that, but just so you know, you won't be hearing from me much because, you know, how people perceive you, your image, your brand is very important. I think what's confusing now is a lot of athletes with their social media, because they have big numbers, means they have a big brand. But unless you understand who those numbers are, and a lot of athletes miss that. So you got an offensive lineman, blue collar, and he's putting Mercedes, you know, he's dropping posts on Mercedes. He's not reading who his following is. And so there's a lot of responsibility that comes with these followings, and it's important that the athletes understand that.
The industry that you serve, is there a lot of competition?
Oh, it's crazy because now you got more now, not when I first got in, but there was an industry that existed. So every day I would come home, my wife would be like, what are you doing? Somebody's going to pay for that? Somebody's going to pay for an athlete? So celebrity marketing is big, but it's very competitive. You have to get up every morning and go get it. You know, you can't, you know, you got to beat yesterday. It's kind of one of my favorite lines. So you got to be, this is not an industry you can get passive with because the names are changing, you know, every day, every week. One year, these guys are hot. Next year, another set of guys are hot. But I think the sports industry is healthy. I think the players are probably smarter today than they ever have been. They're better trained from a business standpoint than they ever have been. And there are more people watching and know who more of these players are than ever before, which is very optimistic for me as I'm growing with this business 30 plus years.
I'm visiting here today with Brendan Steiner of Steiner Sports, and Brendan, we just have a minute relating.
Could talk to you all day.
Well, but in the final question here. So in context of where you're at today, what's the greatest accomplishment would you say that you've done to date?
I think it's straightening out the industry. I mean, I always had a feeling whatever industry I wanted to go into, I wanted to be better because I got into it. I wanted to be better because I was there. And I think I've done that for the sports industry. I've helped so many players. I created a sports collectible business that didn't exist before I was there. And it comes from a lot of hard work and a lot of things that I had to do that didn't necessarily help me initially, but hopefully in the long run would help me. Yankee Steiner is probably one of my biggest accomplishments. You know, starting a partnership with the New York Yankees, one of the biggest brands, along with Notre Dame Steiner, to put my name next to theirs, and then have a full-blown out partnership now for 14 years has been amazing. The other thing is I'm half illiterate. I always had trouble reading and writing, and you know I've written 1,400 blogs that now over 500,000 people read. I was the idiot in the family, Alan, that I couldn't read, couldn't write. My brother was an incredible writer. You're an idiot. Meanwhile, you know, I'm working on my third book. I got a blog on BrandonSteiner.com with 1,400 posts. And I'm proud of that because I love when people keep telling me about all the things I can't do. And then I just keep doing them. Whatever I want, whatever I think's appropriate, whatever I think's best.
So for the listeners wanting to contact you, how would they go about that?
I mean, I'm a Facebook guy. Love going on Facebook or even on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn guy. You can email me at bsteiner@steinersports.com. And my website's brandonsteiner.com if you want to get the blog and any other information.
Brandon, thanks for being on today's show.
Doing great. Well, Alan, love your show. Keep up the good work, man. I tell you, big fan of you. Big fan.
Thank you. Been visiting here today with Brandon Steiner, Steiner Sports. We'll be right back after these messages.